So foraging toys are a way to bring out your cat's inner carnivore and give them a way to hunt for their meals. We're not going to let a mouse loose in the house, but we need to appeal to the cat's hunting instinct and prey drive. Putting kibble in a food dispensing toy allows them to work for their carbohydrates, slows them down so they can't eat so much so quickly. It also can help as a diet plan because it does control the feeding but still allows the cats to free feed and eat when they choose to. Cats naturally eat 10 to 20 meals a day. They're grazers. They nibble and pick and like to eat little, frequent, small amounts. So foraging toys are a way that we can provide food all the time but not allow them to necessarily gorge and fill up on a big bowl of carbs. Since cats are what are called obligate carnivores, they need meat. They need canned food. So I propose that they eat the majority of their food via canned, free-fed, out all the time for them to graze on. And then the dry is presented in a food dispensing toy that allows them to work their mind and body to get kibble. Now, how do you motivate your cat to forage? They're not going to work for what's readily available in a dish. So if you have a bowl of dry food out and you put that same dry food in the foraging toy, there's no motivation to work for it. If you got a lobster at dinner and half of it was shelled or some was not, prepared for you, which one are you going to eat? You're going to eat the one that's shelled because it's easier. So you want to put a kibble in the toy that's unique so the cats have the perception that it's like a treat. One of the ways that we propose motivating cats to forage is by putting a dental kibble in their foraging toy. If we're going to minimize their crunch, let's maximize their dental benefit. This one thinks he's getting something special. So the dental kibble's nice because it's a large size kibble and it really makes them crunch and helps with tartar and plaque. And it's also unique because a lot of people have not started feeding that, and so you can present it in a toy as if it were a treat, essentially. And the cats think it's special because they haven't seen it before. It's not something that's been offered previously. So it motivates them to work for it because it's new. And then once they start foraging actively for the dental kibble, then you can take up your bowl of dry food entirely. And once you know that clearly they're capable of foraging and eating that way. The goal is that they bat it with their paws or nudge it with their nose. And everybody forages differently. It's actually quite fascinating that you'll learn that oftentimes your cat is either right or left pawed, and you figure that out pretty quickly when they start to learn to forage. So how do you get them to forage and stage it? You've got to make it easy in the beginning. So initially, I recommend that you start with toys that are round, clear, and have multiple holes for the kibble to dispense from. This is a toy, it's called a Slim Cat ball, and it's readily available, and it has 3 large holes for, say, like a dental kibble, and it also has 3 small holes for, say, a prescription kibble or a maintenance formula. We have a lot of kitties that may be senior and they have some medical needs, and they need to eat a special prescription diet, and so the small holes will correlate with a food like that. And this is a really easy toy because initially you kind of want it to just be gushing out. You really want the food to just be really easy for them to learn the behavior and figure out, oh, I hit this thing and out comes some food. And then once they have mastered the easier toys, we make them more and more challenging. We might offer something, excuse me, mother. We might offer something that only has 1 hole for the food to dispense from. We might offer something that is opaque, so now they can't see the kibble anymore. They have to go by scent and the rattling sound. And eventually we get to items even what I call Kitty Einstein cubes, things that don't roll so easily. This toy that Hitchinson is using right now, while it's on carpet, it's a little bit easier, but on a hard floor, this is actually a weighted toy. So it's tipped, but it continues to right itself because it's weighted. On the carpet, it gets a little hung up. So you'll find that some toys you need to provide on hard surfaces and some do better on carpeted surfaces or throw or area rugs. And again, another way to challenge them is to put out a very large object that's heavy and weight becomes a challenge. This is more ideal for a multi-cat household where you've got a number of cats feeding from the same toys. You still don't want to create competition. You want to make sure that you have enough toys out so that they're not fighting over one object. So you want to have multiple toys available throughout the house. Lefty is three-legged and toothless and still capable of foraging. So do not underestimate your cat's ability. All of the cats that you see here in this clip are senior except for this little guy, and they're all capable of eating this way and actually have been for many, many years. Another really easy way to motivate your cat to forage is through this kind of a device here. This is called a Peek a Prize box. And if you fill it with food, I'm going to put some treats in there just for ease, but you fill it with food and shake it around, and I've got it filled with balls and mice and all kinds of little cat toys. And so now they have to get the toys out of the way in efforts to be able to drag the kibble out. And so that is a really easy way to motivate perhaps a lazy cat to learn how to forage. And of course, once they've mastered this, you can move over to objects that are more and more challenging. But this can be a great starter toy. Hi, how's it going? So one way that you can comply to this type of feeding protocol, because if you have to fill up these little Easter eggs every day, you'll probably think I'm crazy. But if you pre-fill your toys and you fill them all up maybe one day a week and put them in a little airtight bin like this, now your cats are fed for a week. You just grab a couple toys, throw them on the floor, and boom, they're ready to go. And that way you've got everybody taken care of without having to tediously fill up an object each day. One other thing, there's a lot of stuff we're putting in our recycling bins that make excellent foraging toys. This is just a water bottle. If you have a box cutter or pocket knife or kitchen scissors, something that you can put a hole in this object, this can be a great foraging toy. And this is actually how I started teaching my cats to forage, was via these water bottles. So get creative. Think about the things that you might be throwing away that could make an excellent toy.